Okay, well, welcome you guys. This is the last day of February. Does anybody feel like February was literally a whirlwind? Like,
yes.
I know it's only a couple of days shorter, but how can it really feel like that much shorter? I'm boggled. And then you look at March, and we have almost 5 full weeks in March, right? So Carrie and I were talking earlier today that I think February was a really good seed planting month, and March is going to give us a lot of time to really water and harvest those seeds that we are planting. So we're going to kind of use this as a let's look back at February and look ahead going into March. So we meet, for those of you who haven't been joining us, we meet every single week at 7 o'clock for this 7 Central for this accountability Zoom. And what we do is we usually use the first 30 minutes of it to do accountability and talking about where we are. I'll go through what the format is so you can kind of see what that looks like. And then the second half, the next 30 minutes, is what we call a power half hour. So if you want to stay on, we stay on Zoom, we just mute our microphones and we send messages, we reach out, we follow up, it's just helping us get things going for the week. So we're not just saying, yeah, right? And then letting life happen and the week gets away from us and then we haven't done what it is that we said we wanted to do. So, okay. So looking back at February, one of the things that I wanted to hear from you guys, we've been, for the past month, there's been a pretty active group inside of our Facebook Messenger thread where when we've posted on social, we put a 1 in there so that way it was assigned to other people. Hey, go on and comment and like and things like that to help increase engagement, and a place that you could mark your check mark when you've reached out to your 3 to 5 people each day. So I wanted to kind of like process how that's working. I know there's just a couple of us on tonight. So if you are listening to the replay and you have some input that you want to share, you can directly message me. But how do you guys feel like that has that been helpful for you to say, yep, I'm doing my 1 + 3 every day and it's helpful to go in there? Have you been going in, and this is not like any judgment, just so we know how people are using it. Have you been going in and looking at people's posts and commenting on them when they do that? Just kind of what have you noticed? How has it been helpful? Any ideas about how to make it even more helpful?
I'll be really honest, I have not, but I have quite honestly been in bed the vast majority of February.
Sure.
So
and it's never a have to, it's a if you want to. So just know that, okay?
Yeah, no, so I think, I don't know what everybody else thinks. I think it's probably a good system. It's just a matter of like kind of staying accountable with it.
Sure. It kind of reminds me, and we'll talk about this in a minute, of what Carrie wants to do for the month of March. We have some place that we're being accountable to every day for doing the things that we are committing to doing. So good. I'm glad that you like the accountability piece of it. And hopefully when you see somebody else put their check mark or their 1, it makes you go, oh yeah, A, did I do mine already? And B, did I put it in the group to hold myself accountable? So, and just so you guys know, I am not like checking boxes or keeping track and there's nothing going on my end other than great. And if I see you did a post, I'll go on and comment to it. So Kathy, what's your feedback, your thoughts? How's it helped you, not helped you? Ideas?
Well, I think it's a good reminder on a daily basis. Did I do it? Did I make my check mark? And maybe we can add it to, what we're doing now with those strike 3, streak 3.
Streaks. Yeah.
So, to add a 3 there instead, with it or something like that. Yeah.
So
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think, and I've gone on to look at the other people's, what they're posting too and try and like it and stuff like that. Yes.
Good. And if we can do this, you guys, if we can comments, the algorithm will pick up comments that are more than 4 words, right? So if you can leave a comment, it just takes a couple of seconds to do that. It will just help that process for other people in that getting out there. So we'll keep it going. And again, like nobody's checking in to say, are you doing it? Are you not doing it? There were some days I would forget to post that I had done it, or I did a whole bunch like at the beginning of the week, 1 week. And so then then it kind of looked like I wasn't doing them near the end. So again, you know what you're doing, but here's the challenge I want to make to you is that in the month of March, I want you to track what you are doing. And so what you might want to do is it? Oh no, here it is. I just printed off the new March calendar. So the new March content calendar is on there. If you haven't already seen that, it's in the app, or you can get it on the business. So I printed out the calendar. So last month, what I did was every day that I posted, I would put a check mark. So I knew that, yeah, I had posted every day. What I'm going to do this time too, is I'm going to write the number of people that I reach out to every day, because here's the deal. Sometimes we feel like we're doing a lot. And then if we really look at the numbers, we're really not. It may feel like, oh yeah, I'm reaching out to all these people. And then we may add it up and go, yeah, I reached out to 10 people this month. Okay, well, 10 people this month is better than, 2 people this month, but that might not be enough numbers to get you to where you want to go next, right? And so I want us to really be intentional. Again, this is going to be on you to keep track. And then in our weekly accountability calls, one of our questions is always checking our numbers from the week before. Right? Again, not in any judgment at all. And we're not going to put a story with it of, oh, I was sick, or, oh, I went on a trip, or whatever. It really doesn't matter. It's just, okay, how many people did I reach out to last week? So that way we are keeping track, and we know our numbers, right? Like if any business owner knows their numbers, they always know how many people, am I serving? What is this looking like? That type of thing. So that's what I'm going to challenge you to do this month, is to keep track of that every day, so that when you come to the Monday night calls, you can say, yep, this is what I did last week, right? And then it's just you being able to look at it and go, okay, well, if I'm reaching out to 30, 40, 50 people in a month and I'm not getting any members, maybe there's something in their messaging, maybe there's something in the way I'm following up, right? Then we can kind of look at where might be the glitch in the system. But for most people, it's that we're not reaching out to enough people. That's usually where the first glitch is. So this will help us to get an idea of what that looks like. While I'm thinking of it, you should have received the schedule for our monthly calls. And I did not want to send that out in a way to overwhelm you, but I wanted to put it all on paper in one visual place so that you could see it. And I color coded it between what things are we doing with Infinite Oola team, which is Carrie related, what things does Oola Global offer, and then what things does our team offer. And I want to just make this disclaimer: you do not need to be at everything on that calendar. Okay, I am not at everything on that calendar. So this is not oh my gosh, I had no idea that I signed up to have to be somewhere how many times a month. Okay, the main thing is, do you know what's coming up? Because there are a lot of those things that you can be inviting people to, right? So like, for example, we have this every Thursday. I'm not going to do it every Thursday, because some weeks Oola is doing a Design Your Life overview. So I thought, well, let's not duplicate. So some weeks we have one that's our team one on Thursday at 5, and then the next week Oola is doing one at 7 on Wednesday. So that way you always have something to invite people to when you're talking to people. Hey, we're doing an overview this week on Wednesday at this time. Could you join us? And if they can't, we always have a replay option, right? And then we're always on the last Monday of the month, unless the last Monday of the month is the last day of the month, like what happened this month. We will always do a Design Your Life event as a bigger Oola team, right, from Carrie on down. So that's what we did last Monday, which is for us to invite people who are taking a look. Maybe they've seen the video sometime during the month but didn't take a next step. Maybe they haven't even done that yet. That's okay. So that's always coming towards the end of the month to kind of help us follow up with people and help people take that next step to enroll. So if you have, does anybody have any questions when you looked at that calendar? I know you don't have yours in front of you right now, Anne, but like as to what's on there, what those things mean, where you're going, is this something I invite people to or not? What are the most important things to show up? I don't know. Any questions on?
I thought it was super clear and I loved it. Like that's the kind of thing that I respond to very, very well.
Good.
It was really easy to follow. I truly appreciated that.
Okay, well, I was going to make one for you guys because I felt like I was kind of like brains were going like in every which direction. And then I happened to say something to Carrie about it. And I was like, and she said, yeah, I would love to make one. I'm like, well, I'll just do one. And so I just obviously did the one that Carrie sent out that didn't include our team stuff. And then I added our team stuff to it. So good. I'm glad that was helpful. And that, you know, it may update or tweak or things like that as we're tweaking things. But for now, that's kind of what you can go to. So I've got mine like up on my whiteboard right next to my computer so I can kind of always see, hey, what's coming up next. So, okay, good. Any questions, thoughts, or comments on that, Kathy?
No, I like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, my biggest concern is I don't want you to look at this calendar and go, oh my goodness, my life now is all Oola. All right. That is not the point. The point is just to know what resources are there. So like this coming Wednesday, If you want help setting your goals for this month, pop on that Wednesday call with Katie. She'll do a great job. Great job. I was part of the one we did last month in helping you to set that up, right? If you need help with a tool, then pop on the one that Shani does on the third Wednesday of the month. But if you don't need help with the tool and you've got that, don't worry about it, right? You don't have to show up just because it's happening. So, okay. And my goal too is that whenever we do a design your life overview, I always bring a guest. Like that's always my goal, is that I don't show up by myself, that I'm always bringing somebody with, because the whole point is that it's not just us showing up, but that we're sharing with other people. So, okay, so the first part of our accountability call is going to be our numbers. So that's where we're going to start really tracking where we're at. And if you honestly don't know because you didn't track, then just say, I don't know. That's fine. It's going to be totally up to you. The second one is we're going to talk about a win of the week. So let's go ahead and do that with the people who are on tonight. It could be from just this past week, or it could be from sometime this month. What was a win that you've had with your Oola business? Could be you living Oola and just you know, reaching some goals, or like doing some things that in your own personal life. It could be with the sharing piece of it.
Okay, I'll go. I'll go. You know, I did reach out to some people. I think once I reach out, you know, send them the video, then it's like, then you don't hear nothing. So it's okay, what is my next step? So, I mean, I reached out and all that, but I have to do something that I know where to go to next, you know, so I'm like, okay,
So
what
let's
do I
hold
do?
that question for just a second, because that's going to be really good for our challenge situation.
Okay.
So what was a win? Would a win be that you've been reaching out to people this month to ask to send the video, and you've sent the video to people using the app?
Yep.
That's excellent. Okay, good, good. Yeah, that app makes it so easy. And I love how, and just so you guys know, you can resend videos to people too. So say, for example, I had some people that I was reaching out to today. It had been a while since the first video. And so I was able to resend it again. So just because they're already in there as your prospects doesn't mean you can't send it to them again. Okay. And what's been a win for you in the past week or month or so?
So I think the biggest win for me in the last month is that I've been reaching, I had a chat with Hannah from the Oola Global.
Yep.
And one of the things that I was really stuck in my head with was, for my leg, that needed to be a coach. And she was like, so why does that really need to be a coach? Let's look at some other ways that you can get that. And so I started looking at, you know, could that be like a Bible study? Could that be various things? And so one of the things that popped up for me in this past week is, as I've been interacting with educators on LinkedIn, is maybe pulling together a circle of educators to intentionally keep them in their jobs and away from burnout. So that's one of the things that I'm working on, and I'm pulling that together so that they can take a look at that this week.
I love that. Thinking outside the box, right? Like, who else would this benefit? I think that's fantastic. Sometimes sometimes we can only see one avenue. And so stepping back and saying, what's possible, right? So maybe making a list of who are possible types of people that could use this, right? It might be a great way to kind of trigger your brain to think about things. So school teachers are great. And think about this. I mean, a lot of times they're not working over the summer. Some of them are not getting paid over the summertime. So it'd be a great time for them to come in and start using a tool now, start getting some personal experience with it. And then they could use it as an income stream, you know, over the summer. So I love that. I love that. I'm going to say for me, the win was doing that Womenpreneur event that we did a couple weeks ago. I think we had great engagement in there. It was really fun to, again, you don't have to be a coach to use it. It could have been for somebody who was a network marketing business or some other kind of business. But what was interesting was I had some of these people I'd reached out to before, and there were a lot of, actually I have a whole list of people that asked for the replay that couldn't be on live. That when I reached out to them about them being an Oola member and just thinking from their own perspective, a lot of them said no. But I didn't take that no as a never, right? I thought, well, what if they thought about it from a way of how could this help me better serve the people that I serve with my business? And so it was really interesting how many of them were open to looking at it from that perspective. And I have some calls booked to talk more about how specifically that could look in their business with what they're doing, with some people that had told me no before when they had looked at the video for just themselves. So sometimes it's just kind of going, how can I increase my service to this person? What is it that they really need? And I was like, gosh, women who have a business of some sort are wanting to increase their service and increase their income. So that's, you know, just a different perspective that I came at it with. So, okay, so win of the week. Okay, the next little section we do is our challenge. And so usually I'll ask somebody to share a challenge or maybe a situation, something that came up that week that they kind of want us to process through. So Kathy, we'll go ahead and use your situation that you were talking about. So people said yes to the video, and then you sent the video, right? And then you didn't hear anything back from them. Was that an accurate description?
Well, they just said, you know, that they watched it,
Okay.
you know, and that was like the, you know, and then I sent out, well, what did you like? And then I didn't get any reply.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So I like the fact that you asked the question, what did you like? Because when we ask questions, we don't always, but we usually are going to get more answers. Like if we just make a statement or leave it open-ended, you know, we're for sure probably not going to hear anything. But asking a question is increasing the chances of us getting a response. So one thing that I always make sure to do is I always make sure that in the setup, when I'm asking them to watch it, I always in that question say, if I send you a 4-minute video, would you watch it in the next day or so? So I try to put that 24-hour time frame on there because everybody can find 4 minutes in 24 hours. There is nobody on the planet who can't find that, or at least put it on the counter next to them when they're, you know, brushing their teeth or washing their face or something like. So, you know, so that way it doesn't get buried, because I think that's one thing is if we're not clear on what we're asking, if it's kind of like, oh yeah, I have this, and oh, I was supposed to watch this in the next, we lost Ian. I was supposed to watch this in the next, you know, I thought I'd watch it next week or 2 weeks from now or whatever. So I like to say, would you watch this in the next day or so? And then I also, when I go to send it, they say yes, and I'll say, great, I'm going to send it over to you. All that I ask is, is that you share what you liked best. And I will and I put the ball back in my court. I will follow up with you tomorrow, right? And then I tell them, I'm going to text you, I'm going to call you, I'm going to LinkedIn message you, whatever it is, to hear what you like best. So you're kind of setting up that expectation as well. So that way they're going into listening to the video from I have to respond with what I like best. So I need to listen for what I like, right? Because you know how like if you're reading like for a class, I remember back in the day when you'd have to it was always helpful, like if it was more of a textbook, if you had the questions first. So then as you were reading the paragraph, you knew what you were reading for, right? As opposed to reading the paragraph and then getting the questions afterwards, but you weren't really thinking from that mindset. So I think maybe if that would be something to try, Kathy, is right before you go to, so they've already said yes, like don't complicate it all in that first message, like just keep it super simple. If I send you this video, would you watch it the next day or so? Okay. Or you could say in the next 24 hours, keep whatever you want to say. And when they say yes, say, great, I'll send it over to you now. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you liked best. So would it be best for me to text, message, or call you this time tomorrow? Right. So you're setting up that expectation of what their part is and what your part is. So that way it's not the open-ended, I'm not quite sure what to do and where to go next. Then when that time comes, right, you got the reminder. I always set my reminders unless they specifically say, I'm going to be out of town for the next week. Can you reach out to me in a week? Unless something like that is, is they communicate that, then I will say, I will set the message or the little reminder thing on our app for one day, right? So that way I don't forget to go in there and do that. Here's the thing, it's very easy for people to ignore a text, right? So if at all possible, if you can give them a call, because then you can actually have a conversation with somebody, right? It's not like, oh, they saw my text, but then their kid did something and so they had to run off and they forgot to, respond. Or, oh, they saw my text and they just answered back with a, yes, I watched it. It's going to be a little bit easier. Now, it's not always possible timing wise. Maybe you just know them through LinkedIn and so you don't even have their phone number. But, at least if you've asked the day before, which would be the best way for me to follow up with you, because I would like to hear, what you like best. That may be a way to do it. Or even ask me, would it be okay if I give you a call this time tomorrow to hear what you like best? And if they say, no, I need, whatever to message, and that's okay. But almost kind of like trying to push towards the talking to a human, right? Versus just a message going out there. And you may call and leave a voice message. That's okay. You did your part. You followed up. If you leave a voice message, always, always, always send a text as soon as you leave the message. because chances are it's not somebody who you already know well. You came up as an unknown number and they did not answer because they thought you were spam, right? So I always send a message and say, hey, that was me that just called and left a message. Do you have a quick minute? So that way they'll go in and check their voicemails, because some people don't go in and check their voicemails, you know, unless they know who it was that called. So if we can do a personal like conversation follow-up, that'd be great. If not, at least do a message follow-up. And you're just asking that question, you know, so we can't like, you know, make them answer that question, Kathy, but I think maybe if you set it up with, this is what I'm, you know, I would love to hear what you like best after you watch it, and I will reach out to you tomorrow to ask, then at least it's setting up that expectation. So maybe see how does that feel like a little shift that you could try? Maybe see how that works. But good, yeah, that's a good situation, right? Because and it happens, and this is where it comes down to a numbers game, right? So if you've reached out to 10 people in a week, we probably are only going to hear back from maybe 5 of them about watching the video, if we're lucky, right? So that's why if we only reach out to 2 or 3 people in a week, we're probably only going to hear back from 1 person. And then if that 1 person ghosts us, then it feels like everybody said no, right? So here's why I want you to track your numbers, because I want you to start seeing, and the more we do this, the better your averages will be, right? So it won't take as many people. It may take you 10 reach outs to get 1 person to enroll, right? So that means if I want to, you know, enroll 7 people this month and maximize my bonus, my subscription bonus, then I need to reach out to 70 people. So it'll help you to know your numbers. And then the better we get at sharing and connecting and really connecting it to somebody's need, then that number is going to go down, right? It's not going to take as many to do that. But in the beginning, usually 10% is about average when we're reaching out to people.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And you can always throw questions in our team thread, right? So if you've got a question, or you can send it directly to me. Sometimes I've had people send me a screenshot of a conversation they're in with somebody. Hey, how would you respond to this? So we can, you know, don't feel like it has to wait till Monday. You know, if you wanted to kind of double check, I'm not quite sure where to take this conversation. I'm not quite sure how to do this. And here's what I would do, Kathy. So if say, for example, say I was your person and you followed up with me today, like you said you were going to, and I didn't respond, I would maybe like 48 hours later, follow up again. Right. So don't let too much time go by, because then it starts feeling weird. So if I didn't respond today, give me, you know, 24 to 48 hours more. So maybe on Wednesday, send me a message. Hey, just was checking back since I didn't hear from you on Monday. Did you take a minute to watch that video? And what did you like best? Right. So now again, you're just doing that part, you know, and then again, if they ghost you again, then I would just give them about a week. You know, who knows what life may have totally happened. And they may just not be in a place that they can respond. And, you know, we don't want to push people away. We'd rather, you know, do it in a loving way type of thing. But so that's, that's how I would, do the follow-up if you don't hear from people. Okay. So the last thing we're going to talk about is what's going on for March. Because we had a couple of things that were announced tonight, and it looks like Carrie, you just responded back to me, but it's in a voice message, so I can't listen to it and talk to you guys at the same time. So I will let you know for sure. But there are 2 things going on in March. The first one is we're streaking through March. No, that does not mean running around without your, you know, in your big birthday suit. But we are really going to be committed to being products of the products and using our tool to do our 3 checks, you know, our 3 check-ins every single day to create a streak, as long of a streak as we can in March. I know I do the same thing she was talking about today. Like I'll do my stuff and then like it was movie night and I wasn't thinking about it and I forgot to track it. And then, you know, the next morning I woke up and I was like, oh, I lost my streak. So but we're going to make like a concerted effort. So what Carrie wants to do, and this is what I'm going to confirm with her how we're doing it, is to create some kind of a accountability space, kind of like what our team does already with our posting and our reach outs. But this would be open to anybody who's on the Infinite Oola team, as well as our members, to help them get using the tool. Because like I talked to one of my members today, she's not been using the tool, but we were able to talk through like, why is this so important and how can it actually help her save time in her day if she goes on and decides her 3 most important tasks for the day, instead of just letting the day, you know, run away with her. So I will get details to you guys as soon as I listen to Carrie's message and we decide exactly how we're going to logistically set that up. So our goal is to be streaking through March. Let's see if we can make it 31 days, you know, doing it. So one of the things I do, you guys, if you haven't already done this, set a reminder. I might have to do it as an alarm and not just a reminder on your phone. before it, sometime like maybe right after dinner. So that way you remember to go in and track it. And then it's that reminder, if you haven't finished all your things, oh yeah, I've got an hour or two before bed. Let me quick finish these so I can track it. For me, at least if I had that trigger reminder, it's a greater chance of me going back in and doing it than just trying to remember. So if you haven't already set a reminder or an alarm, do that for the month of March. And your family's gonna be like, why is your alarm going off at 7 o'clock every night? That's because I'm doing my Oola. And then they may help remind you when it goes off. Hey, did you track your Oola today? Right. So that's going on.
Hey, Lisa.
Yeah.
One thing. So I know that lots of us are used to doing it on our phones, but the breakthrough challenges are on the actual website. And I know that when I've gone back in through the website, I have found myself behind in those. So that's the other thing, to get like the full experience, you need to make sure that you're staying on top of your breakthrough experiences as well, because that's like really key to be able to talk to the folks that we're sharing with.
Yes.
Otherwise it just becomes kind of another to-do app,
Yeah.
you know?
Right. So here's what I've done, Anne. I don't actually use the Oola app because the Oola app does not have the breakthrough experience, but you can save the Oola website on your home screen. So it looks like an app. And then when you log in on that, it gives you access to your breakthrough experience as well as the tracking piece. So that's what I'm recommending to my members, to use that instead of just the app. I wish the app had all of it on there. I'm not sure why it doesn't. And maybe that's a suggestion that we can make. But yeah, that's a great reminder. And then I even do that too. I have a reminder set on my phone. So I'm now to the path part where I only get one module a month, but I have a reminder on my phone that says module, right? And so for the first 12 weeks, I had one go off every Saturday at like 8 a.m. or something, because I knew I could, give it 30 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever to do that. So yeah, that is really key, because a lot of that's the mindset stuff, right? A lot of that's the how are we thinking that has to line up with the what are we doing. So yeah, great reminder on that. And that's something that, that we will follow our members and be checking in on them. Hey, how are you doing with your breakthrough experience, right? They may not remember that it's there. So kind of taking them back there, and then, suggesting that they set some kind of a reminder to be able to go back in there. So, okay. So we're going to have the Streaking Through March challenge, where our goal is to have a streak of 31 days where we are using the tool to do at least 3 of our daily action steps every single day. Okay. And again, if you lose your streak at some point for whatever reason, no shame, no stories, get right back on and make it as long as you can. And then we also, as ambassadors, are being challenged to reach out to 60 to 100 people this month. Now, that may sound like a lot, but I did the math on it after we got off the call. That's really 20 days. So Monday through Friday, essentially, and March has extra days in it. So it wouldn't even always have to be that. If you did 20 days of 3 people a day, that's 60 people. If you do 20 days of 5 people a day, that's 100 people. So really, it's not any more than the 3 to 5 we've already been doing. It's just, it sounds like more when you say 60 to 100. So I don't know about you guys. I am not going to be putting 100 Post-it notes on my wall, because that will drive me batty. I've got 7 up because my goal is to always enroll 7 people each month. So those 7 will stay up. But I'm going to go and I'm going to Google a 100 chart. You guys remember back like when you were like in elementary school and you always did things around like numbers and things like that, and you were counting down 100 days of school or whatever. So just, find like just like a piece of paper that has the numbers from 1 to 100, and then you can just cross people off or cross off the numbers as you do those reach outs. And you can even use that for tracking, right? So that way you can mark week 1, week 2, week 3. Type thing. So our goal is going to be to share between 60 and 100 people this month. So that's going to be stepping things up, but really it's just being consistent with what we already should be doing if we're doing our 3 to 5 people a day. And then on Friday, April 1st, we're going to do a happy hour. No, it's not, I'm not fooling. This is for real. We're going to do a happy hour for everybody just to celebrate our streaking with our personal goals and then our reach outs for the ambassadors. So we'll get more details about that as we get closer. So just a couple things to kind of keep us engaged and having fun while we're doing this and while we're sharing. So any other questions, thoughts, ideas related to those 2 challenges, the streak challenge or the share challenge? One of the things I started doing this past month.
Think of where I'm going to come up with 100 people, if I'm being really honest.
Okay, well, so here's the thing. If you try to focus on the how right now, guess what's going to happen? you're going to get overwhelmed and probably not do it, right?
Say again.
I said, if you focus on the how right now, if you're anything like most people, like how I would be, I would get overwhelmed and just not do it, or say I can't do it, right? I don't have 100 people.
Oh, no,
But if
no,
you
no,
break
no,
it
no.
down
I'm not,
go ahead.
I'm not going into like the, oh my gosh, this isn't doable. I'm like, okay, where are the sources?
Sure. And this is where, when you focus on every day, I'm reaching out to 3 to 5 people, right? You start getting creative, right? You start going on LinkedIn and saying, who are some new categories of people I can connect with? You go into that Facebook group that you've been a part of and say, who are the members in here that, I've noticed they've been in here a lot, that maybe I can have some kind of a personal conversation outside of this group. You start, even I just heard somebody saying the other day, I was listening to a virtual training. She's like, when was the last time you went through your phone? The average person has 600 contacts in their phone, right? So it's not that you're not going to reach out to everybody, right? But when was the last time you just went through here and said, who's in here that I haven't been thinking about, right? Or look at your Facebook friends, like probably have more than 100 people in Facebook. I'm guessing most of us have more than 100 people that we're friends with, or more than 100 people on LinkedIn. So there are all kinds of people out there. It's just really thinking about what is their need, right? And how can I really help draw that need out to have an opportunity to get to share, this. So just break it down into those 3 to 5 a day, and let your brain get creative. When you put that goal out in front of you, your brain will get creative on finding it. And I think it'll be surprised, right? By the end of the month, it'll be like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that I could connect people, in this area or this way, that type of thing.
Yeah. I'm looking at my Facebook group. I've been doing that for while I've been laying in bed, honestly. And okay, so who are the people that I can draw from? The Facebook groups, that's a really good idea, because I can't post in them, obviously, because that's non-solicitation, but
right.
Having just some conversations with them off kind of messengers is a really good idea.
I think the biggest thing is keeping your radar up, right? When you see somebody post about something that is anything related to Oola, and guess what? Oola touches every single area of our life. Hey, I saw you posted about this, about your grandson. How are you feeling about the amount of time you get with him? Hey, I saw your post about, this. How's, how are you wanting to grow your business? Hey, nutrition, whatever, comment on their post and then send a private message. And ask a question. Don't just jump into Oola. Ask a question. Genuinely be interested and curious and whatever about what it was they were sharing or doing, right? And then there's always a way to tie Oola in when you open up that door.
Yeah.
Very cool. And if you guys think of ideas, or you run across, hey, I never thought before to check people at whatever, maybe you went to some event at the library, and so you ended up talking to some people while you were there or whatever. So throw those in our group message thread. Hey, here's an idea of a place to to connect with people, because I think it might help trigger some ideas for other people as well. Good. Okay. Well, I think I would say our first goal is our personal streak. We're using the tool. Right. So that's a number one. Make sure that you have those reminders set up on your phone or somewhere, Post-it notes, places, by your toothbrush or something like that, so that you don't forget, and make sure you go in and do that. The second one is going to be the share challenge of reaching out to those 60 to 100 people, the 3 to 5 a day. If you want to get specific about hey, here's really what I want to do for myself, we can talk through okay, I'm going to go for double silver. I want to go for triple silver. I want to go for what does gold take to get to, that's either what you can hop on the call on Wednesday, and Katie is on there to help with that. I can help with that. And really for me, I always want to be what's the next level, right? Okay. So now I know, what do I need and what am I working towards next? Because that always helps us keep growing and moving. And when you know what you're shooting for, a really easy one, if you haven't necessarily set any specific goals, is to use the double subscription bonus and say, so Anne, you're past that now because you had signed on earlier, but everybody else on our team can still get the double subscription bonus this month, and probably most people can get it next month as well. So that's enrolling 7 people, which if we break that down over 5 weeks, it's just over 1 person a week. So that's where we want to look at our numbers and say, okay, am I reaching out to, I should be reaching out to what in a week, 15 to 20-ish people a week. Out of that, we should be finding one person that's, that's able to do that. And if you're having a hard time with conversations with people, please reach out and let's talk about maybe how we can have, kind of steer a conversation or ask a different question or invite them to an event or something like that. So at minimum, shoot for your 7. I think that's a great place to start. And if you want to talk more specifically about different levels, then we can talk specifics about that. Okay, well, I know it's late where you are, Kathy. So we're going to do, and you're driving, and I'm assuming if you're still in the car. So anybody, if you guys want to stay on for Power 20 minutes now, not Power half hour this week, but Power 20 minutes to talk about what we're